One of these, as far as I know, did not have a football management game. The rest did, okay? So, Kenny Dalglish, Kevin Keegan, Guy Rue, Sven-Goran Eriksson, Alex Ferguson, O'Leary. We have got Brian Clough. Out of all of those, which one do you think is the fake one?
Would it be something interesting for PvP tournaments, for example, which would now mean that people can't then, as you say, just plug the meta tactics in, and it's like, now we're getting to see, okay, who actually is good at the game. Just thinking with my own,
because you're changing the laws of physics.
Come on, the laws of physics are there to be broken, surely.
I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to go into it. The other thing is, when I said the plan for today's episode, and I was like, hey, let's talk about collaborative FM. Tony's been doing some collaborations, and we've also got a brand new community save. And Tony's gone, hey, let's talk about competitive FM and rip each other apart.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the FM show. I'm your host Tony Jameson, joined as always by RDF Tactics aka Aaron Falloon and the one and only Maggio. Fellas, how are we? Aaron, we'll come to you first. Are you well?
Yeah, I'm doing brilliant. Thanks for asking. In the Football Manager world, we were just speaking before we press record. I'm still trying to get back into the game, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's difficult for me. I'm finding it difficult. I think like the very small challenges. Oh, what I did try actually is Mad Scientist database, the 0708, is it? Mm-hmm. I tried that. That was a lot of fun. But then again, it's just one of those things, right? Like you start a new save and you're like, I think I need to sign that player. You just got this massive squad of wonder kids, and then and it turns out it's not an actual save. You're just trying to go back down to memory lane, and that's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah.
I had a little bit of that when I did the 94, 95 database. I think he's got as well, and I had AC Milan, and I was like, ooh, Figo. Yes. Ooh, Alan Shearer. Yes.
So that's what I had. I had like 3 strikers at Arsenal, and then like I played about 10 games, and you do some scouting again. You're like, Aguero, Torres, David Villa, and you're like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I had a 15-year-old Buffon in goal, and I had Del Piero, and I had Totti, and there was no need because that AC Milan side was stacked anyway. Like these guys would not get in that side. But yeah, it's just kid in sweet shop territory at that point, isn't it? Just like
Freddie Adu's in that game, yeah, and I think that's the last year he was actually good. Like you can get a tune out of him. I think that's the last year, and then after that he kind of just toodles.
Then just Adu'd all over the place. Mr. Maggio, how are you, sir? Are you well?
I'm good. My eyes are a bit more lubricated than last week, which
we should mention that because we started with Steve Sidwell and went, Si's got new eyes, and then never mentioned it for the rest of
it was in the Patreon. It was in
if
the
you're on Patreon, we explain what was going on. But
I had eye surgery and my eyes were very dry, and I had the lights off and stuff. So, but I didn't realise quite how dry my eyes were until I actually went to the surgeon. Yeah, I think he's an eye surgeon.
You hope it's an eye surgeon.
No, he wasn't the surgeon though. There was another surgeon, but he's like, I don't want to get the guy's title wrong. So, let's just say the guy he's an optometrist at least, or an eye expert, right? And he was like, your eyes are very dry. He's like, it's healed up, but they're very, very dry. And I was like, yeah, I can feel it. So yes, it's a bit better now. But yeah, we're like, and it means I can start. I hadn't been able to play games really for about 2 weeks, but do you want to know what I've been playing? I've been playing Football Manager, and I didn't go retro database. I didn't go retro database though. I didn't go retro database. I went retro Football Manager, and I played Retro Manager 1982, the Kevin Toms version.
Interesting. I
don't remember if I told you guys, but by the time this goes out, the video will be on my YouTube channel. But I was like, I'm going to give this a go. I've never played it. So. I don't know if people know that Kevin Toms made the first game called Football Manager, so it's technically a separate series from a separate company. Now, Kevin Toms is still making Football Manager games. He makes one on mobile right now. He kickstarted one about 2 years ago. I've not had a chance to give it a go yet, but I am going to give that a go as well. But he made a game back in 1982 called Football Manager, based on a board game called Soccerama or something like that, which I might also have by the time this goes out. Like a 1960s board game. Maybe not. I don't want to mention it too loud in case I don't get the copy that I'm after and everyone else jumps on eBay and buys all the other copies. So
Come on, chat, you know what to do.
yeah, that's it. So I have got a nice collection of Football Manager based board games, and this is gonna go in there if I get it. I think it's called it's 1966, I think. Or 67 or 60. It's called Jeff Hurst's Soccerama or something like that. It's based on one of the World Cup winners, I'm sure. Well, it might even be Alan Ball. Is it Alan Ball? Oh, I don't remember. Anyway, so Kevin Thomas decided to turn that board game into a video game. So I played the video game, and I started as Arsenal. Weirdly, there's about 70 teams in the game, English teams. Portsmouth and Southampton, neither of them are there, which is very odd. There's York and stuff, but so it goes down the divisions, but there's no Portsmouth or Southampton, and they were both top divisions then.
Or all the leagues are the same amount of teams as well, aren't they? If I remember correctly,
there's 16 teams.
Yeah.
So I took over Arsenal.
Because I played this way back in the day. So if anyone's trying to say I'm not legit, I was legit before legit was even a thing. You know what I mean? So if this was on a tape deck, I was playing it, or a big massive.
This is a few years before I was born. It did come out on quite a few different consoles, so I don't remember the name of the first console it was on. It's like an obscure one, but it did then come to the ZX Spectrum, the Acorn,
the Spectrum,
the Atari. Yeah. So the first version, I didn't play the first version. The first version doesn't have the highlights, the match package highlights, whereas the version I played had graphics to show when a goal, to show the goal scored and stuff. Looks a bit like today's game. It doesn't. I mean, it does, but it also doesn't. It is a bit
before the YouTube comments say exactly the same thing. Match engine
graphics haven't changed in 20 years. So I played that. Now I loaded in as Arsenal, and I was looking at the team, and I was like, so you only get 2 attributes basically. You get one which is skill, which is 1 to 5, and you get one which is energy, which goes up and down. It's 20, and it goes down to 1. And then there's also team morale, which starts at 10, goes up if you win, goes down if you lose. And basically those 3 attributes determine how you're going to do in a match, and then I assume there's some dice rolls and other stuff. Or probabilities and other stuff. So I got my team, and I was looking through, and I was like, oh, I got Kevin Keegan. He was like, K. Keegan, skill 1. And I was like, what? I was like, so is 1 the highest or is 1 the lowest? Because surely Kevin Keegan's the best team in 1982 in my team, or 1983, 1982. He's at Newcastle. He's pretty peak Kevin Keegan, I'd imagine, around 1982. And then I was thinking, and I was like, he's not. Why have I got Kevin Keegan at Arsenal? Because I did have I went going through the team,
that.
and there was so the first few players, there was is it Kenny Sampson? See, this is before I was born.
Yeah, Kenny Sampson.
So Kenny Sampson was there, so he was an Arsenal player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Did you get Kenny Keegan, who was just a local window cleaner?
Well, I did have to have a look if there was another Keegan. I did have to look. I had is it Paul Parker? It's not Peter Parker.
Paul Parker would have been. No, he would have been QPR, wouldn't he? Was he at Arsenal?
QPR.
Certainly went to United.
1982. Paul Parker. Fulham. It was P. Parker anyway.
It was Peter Parker, Spider-Man.
Peter Parker, maybe. Well, so there's no goalkeepers. I quickly realised. There's 5 defenders. Well, you can have as many defenders as you want, as many midfielders as you want, as many attackers as you want. But there's no goalkeeper. So I thought P. Parker was my goalkeeper. I don't know. I did a P. Parker. Actually, I'm looking here. Parker was playing, but he was only 18 then, so I don't know if it was Paul Parker. Anyway, I was looking through the team, and then obviously Kevin Keegan stood out, but because I wasn't born then, and I just thought it was me being oh, I didn't think Kevin Keegan played for them, but he obviously did. But then it dawned on me, actually, no, these are not this is not the Arsenal team. I knew Samson was an Arsenal player, maybe 1 or 2 others. I was like, wait, this actually isn't the Arsenal team, because I came up against another team who had who did they have? They had Glenn Hoddle or someone, and I was like, that team would never have had Glenn Hoddle. We actually bought Glenn Hoddle, and so basically, I think they get either they get a randomized attribute at the start of the game, or they're set. But Kevin Keegan was actually the worst player on my team, and Samson was the best. And then, you know, Glenn Hoddle was also awful. So I played. You only play 15 matches. And really, it's a game where you're sort of trying to manage the stamina while trying to keep, you know, about a good defense, good midfield, and good attack on the pitch. And that's it, really. And you get some money, and you can buy players, and you can sell players. And, you know, the better they are, the more they sell. Well, I mean, that's basics of foot match, right? The better they are, the more they sell for. But it's like, you get if they're 1 star, you get 5,000. If they're 2 star, you get 10, 350. It's literally that. And then after match 15, so this is what I realised at the end. After match 15, it just randomises all their skills again. So Kevin Keegan then, I think it was Glenn Hoddle, then went to a 5-star player. So I bought him for 5,000. And then at the end of the season, he was like from a 1-star player to the best player in the game. But one of my other players, who was like a 5-star, went down to a 2-star. And that's it. And then you go again. And you start in Division 4. So I was Arsenal in Division 4, which would have been Division 4 at the time. Yeah, not what it is now. Division 4 doesn't exist, but League 2. So yeah, I've been playing Football Manager 1982. Very simple, but it was kind of fun to play.
Sort of had an idea. Light bulb moment. I'm thinking maybe I should just try Football Manager, but use fake players. What's that option at the beginning? Use real names, and you can remove that or remove. Though,
I always wanted to do that. There's a problem.
The only annoying thing is it just replaces names, don't it?
Yes.
Not necessarily. Yeah, I think that's the only. So if I pick Arsenal, I'm just gonna be nosy. I'm gonna pick all the players. I'm gonna be like, all right, that's Saka. Okay, that's Jorginho. I think that's that annoys me a little bit. I'm not sure if it's always been like that though.
You could. I think it would be kind of easy to make a database, because if someone has an attribute set at 0, I think it randomizes their attribute.
Yeah, it does. You can just keep the current.
So if you go into the pre-game editor, set every single player to 0. But the only issue with that is you might end up with your defenders with the attributes of an attack, or the attributes just aren't going to make sense, right?
It will, but it will still have a weird distribution. So like you will have a striker, right, and then because it's got the high current ability, it's still going to give them high finishing, but you might just have like 18 finishing, but then 7 dribbling, 19 technique, and that sort of thing. Yeah, like
it could be a challenge. Could be interesting. Yeah, I'm sure someone out there has done a database of random player names and random players. They must have done.
There must be.
I mean, they're bringing.
Or what you do is you click don't use real player names, and then also sim 10 years into the future or whatever. But then the leagues move around. But you could do that.
Could do that, yeah.
You know, put it 10 years in the future, and then any players who are like actual players now, you probably won't, unless you go in and look at their history. You probably won't.
Yeah, you wouldn't. But yeah, you wouldn't really notice. Yeah.
15 years, almost certainly not. You'll be all right. So yeah, I played Football Manager 1982, and
I like that. I mean,
I think you could do it.
I like the fact that going back to old games is quite a cool idea. I'm trying to remember what the game I played was. I think it was Premier Manager or maybe like Tracksuit Manager or something. And it was either on the Spectrum or it was on the Commodore 64. It was around the time of Kevin Tom's, maybe a little bit after, but it didn't even have player names in. I might have mentioned this on the podcast before, possibly, but it didn't even have player names. It just had numbers. So you had like your team's position. So old school, goalkeeper 1, right back 2, left back 3, centre backs 4 and 5, etc., etc.
Yeah,
you would just buy the other team's number. So say for example, you bought West Ham's number 3.
Yeah.
Like in your head, you're going, that's Julian Dix, right? So you'd buy West Ham's number 3, and you'd type the name that you thought that player was into your team. Okay. So you'd call him anything, like so. You added that little sort of element of, I guess, what Champ Manager and Football Manager had pre-match engine, where you were imagining a lot of the scenarios in your head. So I was like, right, I'm going to buy this player, put him on my team, and now I'm going to give him a name, and that's where we're at. And I do think there is sort of like, I think there's just something about maybe going back to some older stuff and just seeing where we've come from, because there's, yes, there's been a lot of whinging and kicking off about where we're at right now, but if people just stood still for a second and looked back over the last 30 odd years, 35 years, 40 years.
That's 42 years, Kevin Toms.
Right. I mean, yeah, you look back over 40 years, you're not complaining about the fact that, there's not been a release this year, soz. Like, the match engine doesn't work how we wanted it to. Like, come on, there wasn't match engines back in the day. Things were on. It took 42 minutes to load it up on a tape. to get to like essentially looking at what would be horrific on a screen these days. But
it's funny. The loading times are still massively long on this. I was like, it's like generating match results. I'm on a PC 40 years later with like, a tech that should be infinitely better, pretty much, because it probably was like 1 kilobit.
Was it not
even a megabit?
4K?
Right?
Was it 4K? That they made the big deal about the Spectrum was a 4K console, and you're like, wow, 4 kilobytes, not like as in it shoots in 4K. Like it's just
So and now we're on terabytes or whatever. So I should be able to, or even beyond terabytes. So I should be able to like run it, but it still took like 30 seconds every time it was generating like the league table. It was kind of funny. But yeah, I've been going back to these old games. I've got a whole load of them. It's incredible how many there were in the 90s. Like about 1996, everyone and their dog had a Football Manager game.
Well, it was very much of its time, wasn't it? 1996, Euro 96. Everyone was like, it's sort of the dawn of our generation, probably, with like football at its new peak. Italia 90 came in. That's like that new breed of fans. Then you got your Champman 0102, when everyone's sort of like that generation bought into it and got sort of like, this is my game. By the way, at time of recording, shout out to Champman 0102 legend Mark Kerr. Happy birthday, Mark Kerr. We're recording on your birthday. And the Scottish Zinedine Zidane. I think he was certainly before 0102, but he was like peak, wasn't he? So happy birthday, Mark Kerr. We will endeavour to try and get you on the podcast at some point. We are trying desperately to get him in. But yeah, mid-90s, lots and lots and lots of interesting stuff happening. Lots of interesting stuff.
I tell you what, let's do a quick odd one out, right? One of these, as far as I know, did not have a football management game. The rest did, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you a list of names. Let me just think of the one I need to add in. Let me think. Okay, right. So we have got Kenny Dalglish, Kevin Keegan, Guy Rue, Sven-Goran Eriksson, Alex Ferguson, O'Leary. We have got Brian Clough. We have got who else? Are there more? There are almost certainly more. Okay, out of all of those, which one do you think is the fake one?
I've played Sven-Goran Eriksson's game. I know it's not his.
I feel like it's
Alex.
I'm going to give you some additional options, although it's obviously not them now. Without I'm adding them in at the end. Eric Cantona and Zico.
I don't know why Brian Clough. I don't remember a Brian Clough one. Guy Rue just sounds so like he had to have had, for you to mention it. He had to have had one.
Yeah. It's like was Dr. Joseph Venglos football manager? What? Hang on, come on. Not of course. That's also a callback to last week's Patreon episode, by the way.
Am I going Brian Clough?
I was going to go Ferguson, but there is definitely a Ferguson game, isn't there?
There's definitely a Ferguson. I played the Ferguson one. I played the Sven-Goran Eriksson one.
Clough. You know what? You may be right. Maybe it is Clough. Maybe he's more of like he goes on the front of the box and he's not the name. Because the David O'Leary is the one that sounds ridiculous, but I'm sure there's been a David O'Leary game.
I'm pretty sure David O'Leary's got one, yeah. Pretty sure.
No,
wait, I don't think it's Brian.
They're all real.
I was going to say, wait, I don't think...
There's Brian Clough. Well, I don't know if it's a management one, but there's Brian Clough's football...
works.
I
was going to say, I'm pretty sure.
Brian Clough's Football Fortunes. Guy Rue was basically Alex Ferguson, but the one released in France.
Auxerre,
so they were like, we don't want a Scottish man, we want Guy Rue on our versions. And the O'Leary... The O'Leary one was like, it was weird because they released the O'Leary one and they released another one called like Barcelona Manager, and like they're really similar. They're basically the same like back end to the game, but like the actual gameplay is different. It's kind of, but if you look them up, people think they're the same game, but I played both and they're actually different. It's weird.
Yeah, I remember the cover of this Sven-Goran Eriksson game.
Yeah, there is Sven. There was more than one Sven and more than one Alex Ferguson. They were going head to head in the early 2000s.
Okay, so if we're thinking then about potentially changing databases up to give Aaron something interesting to look at the minute, The other thing that's been floating around the FM community recently, and I've not looked at any of them. I've not looked at any of them at all. Is all these new mods, these match engine mods? Anyone had a little nosy? Anyone want to have some comments upon them?
I had a look at. Okay, full disclosure, I've not played it. So get your angry comments in now.
They've not played it and they're still commenting, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it. I watched some videos and I looked at what it was doing. My problem with it was, like, I was watching them and I think this was one of the first ones. I don't know if it's the Chinese one or the Korean one. But it looked really fluid and the players were passing it around really well, but too well. And I was like, if you're used to watching Barcelona or Manchester City, yes. If you're used to watching Championship or League One or basically any other team in football, maybe other than like Spain, prime Spain or something, it was like the players just looked a little too good. I like the mistakes and stuff in the game. You know, I like that there's a wayward pass and stuff, and it just. Maybe it was just from the video, but it just looked that little bit like pinpoint. It almost looked like a training drill. You know that training drill they do where they're like all stood in a circle and they go. And it just looked like that. I think because the ball's been sped up, certainly on shots as well. Like the shots were absolutely blasted in on some of them, and I felt like the ball looks fine in the regular game. I don't know. The other problem I have with it is that it only applies to the match you're playing in. It doesn't apply to any other matches that are happening outside of your game. So every other match is happening on a different engine I don't know how it works in the regular game, but you know, they're obviously the same base statistics are not applying to the same base attributes are not applying to the same matches.
Okay. Aaron, have you ever nosy on it, or is it not your thing either?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's those yeah. Because I'm not originally from like the modern world. Like my games, when I first started out, it just used to be pretty bland, and I pretty much liked it pretty bland. It's only since I started streaming, I've added these graphics and stuff onto my game. The only mod that I used to go hard with every single year was the transfer updates, but that was more so just to make my game more realistic. I still wanted Football Manager. I just wanted Football Manager, but up to date to what I'm seeing in real life as well. The mod that it just scares me, right? Like I'm scared of a few things. If it breaks my computer, if it breaks my game, those are the. It might sound silly to someone, but those are just like the little things I'm always skeptical about because I don't know how these people even done it in the first place. But yeah, it's just not my thing to. I'm also scared to watch the video. I think I saw Zealand post the video, and I'm also scared to watch it just in case I do like it and I want to try it out. And I just don't trust myself to have a go. But I can't imagine it feeling like a new game to me. It's always going to be FM24, and I'm going to know the game's done something. Like something's been edited. So I think when it comes to achieving success in Football Manager, I don't think it's going to hit the same knowing it's on a modded match engine, if that makes sense. Like if I just done this crazy achievement with a non-league side and I've won the Champions League, it's like I can't really tell that story because it was done not on Football Manager's playground. It was done by someone else's mod, and yeah, I think that's what kind of puts me off it as well. I guess people can say the same with transfer updates, though. I think if we just use our head a little bit with the transfer updates, it's a bit different than actually changing the mechanics of the game. Because who knows? What happens if these mechanics are for your enjoyment, so you are winning more games? Does that make sense as well? Like, I don't know what the outcome of these mods are. It might just be fun to try it out, but yeah, I'm not someone that was going to go and look for it to try out or play Football Manager in a different way.
Yeah, I saw a couple of versions as well. Like I know Si's saying there that it's all like the first one was just a little bit too perfect. It was like it's like the first time you watch HD TV and you're like, my eyes aren't HD. Like this is just it looks too nice. Like I don't trust it, sort of thing. And like the same now with 8K, like just going, this is just I'm not sure this is real, right? And then I think there's another couple that have come out now with like Chaos Ball and stuff for like the non-leaguers, and it's just
that's what I would do.
And
yeah,
it's just like are they? Like,
so
first of all, amazing work. Well done for those people who are putting it together. Like, I'm sure you've spent your time really, really well. Fantastic. Thank you for doing it. But, again, I'm like, sure everyone complained about FM23's Chaos Ball. They were complaining that it wasn't, that they couldn't manage it properly. So I can't imagine too many people are rushing back to go back to that. I loved FM23, by the way. I thought Chaos Ball was great. I think I was the only person that enjoyed it.
I think that's where Football Manager struggled with the balance, right? It feels like it's the same engine for every level, so you're getting the same Chaos Ball in the non-league that and you're seeing it in the Premier League as well. And it's like Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden have literally got like one of the most perfect touches in the league, but yet in the match engine, it's just like the ball's just bouncing off them. And I think that's where like it's difficult for Football Manager to get the balance. So even though the passes might have been too perfect, that could be the case, I say, if you in the top league. But if I play National League, you don't want to see people just zipping it about with no problem, because again, there's attributes there that the game's supposed to be following.
I think it's cool. Like, when I saw it, like maybe a month ago, and I thought I should really do it because I don't think anyone had done a video on that point. And I sort of part of me regrets that I didn't. But when I looked into it, and I was like, to me, this almost isn't. I don't want to say it's not interesting enough, because it's not interesting enough to me. I think some people are really like amazed by it. I'm surprised it took like creators so long to pick up on it, because I think I did mention it here on the pod a while back. But it was like,
it always takes one though, innit?
Yeah, and I think when I first read like about it, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Like, let's go see what it looks like." Because I thought at first, and I did that classic mistake of mixing up the match engine with the graphics engine, right? And I was like, "Hey, we really," but it sort of did give me hope, because I didn't think the match engine was editable anymore. I didn't think people were able to do it. So it's sort of like, that's good that people have managed to get into. Well, maybe Sports Interactive might like it, but for the rest of us, it's pretty good that people are able to get in and mod that kind of stuff. And I think the thing is, they only found one or two. So I was watching a video on how they did it. So basically, they went into the files, and like there's an editor, not the editor, but a different editor they can use to edit like values. And they just tweaked some of the values, but it's hard to tell what the values correspond with. But they worked out one or two of them, and then I think like since they're because lots more people are looking at it now, more and more people are adjusting different values and corresponding them with different things. If you tweak this, this is gonna happen. You tweak this is gonna happen. So I kind of like it, but I also think like the match engine now is like quite a carefully balanced thing. People might hate it. I guess one advantage is it breaks current metas and forces you to, I guess, find the new meta for that new engine, right? You can't just like, I heard a lot of people say, "Hey, Gegenpress doesn't work," but I'm sure like I also heard like, "Hey, I just played wingers and it destroyed the game."
Okay, would it be, and maybe I'm going to speak slightly out of turn here, would it be something interesting for PvP tournaments, for example, which would now mean that people can't then, as you say, just plug the meta tactics in, and it's like, now we're getting to see, okay, who actually is good at the game. Just thinking with my own,
because you're changing the laws of physics.
Come on, the laws of physics are there to be broken, surely.
I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to go into it, and like you said about Chaos Ball. When I say Chaos Ball, I want like a player to kick it. Like I want to load up an engine where it's just horrible to you. Like the player kicks it and the ball goes backwards. Or like, just stupid stuff happens.
No,
just for fun.
That reminds me of like, I don't know why, it just reminds me of like, do you remember Bubblehead? Like, was it GoldenEye? 007 GoldenEye, and you could do like those,
big head balls. Yeah.
I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but
yeah. No, I was thinking more about like what I was thinking was more about that the perfect engine first of all, the one where the passes like are perfect, they hit people's feet and all that sort of stuff. So from an aesthetic presentation point of view, if everyone's playing in a PvP world using the same mod, would the games look better? Therefore, you would potentially lose all those glitches that sometimes the match engine can throw up. I'm wondering, would that make for a better spectacle, or would you then just end up with more issues down the line? I'm just trying to work out a way of, is it something that we could buy into?
Yeah, and it depends if the viewers actually notice as well. They might not even notice. So, yeah, you might just be running a slight risk for no reason.
Every time you mess with the back end, you're increasing the risk that it crashes or something freaky happens. Or what happens if you accidentally tweak the ball speed up slightly too fast that it doesn't register a goal and goes through the back of the net?
What drama! That would be brilliant. That'd be brilliant content. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, maybe content would be great. You'd be like, it was in.
I was thinking about draft mode the other day, right? And I think, Tony, you're not gonna like this, but I think I'm almost edging to I know. I think that draft mode actually needs to be competitive. I think that's what takes it to another level, in my opinion. I think the friendly. I don't know why I've gone down this road all of a sudden, but I don't know. I was just thinking about it the other day, right? And I was thinking about that, how other tournaments are run. Just like you've got to watch other games, like how things are working. Like if you're a content creator, you might want to watch NBA creators, and you might want to watch WWE creators just to see how they do their game modes. And I've been watching like other tournaments, and like one thing that I noticed with like Call of Duty and FIFA E and whatever it is, it's so serious. It's rarely a big tournament where they're in the group chat all pally. It's all like very serious environment. But I think that's what drives people to it as well, because it feels like there's something on the line. There's more stake on the line. And I think, I don't know, I just think like in our little community, I think the drafting world, it might need to start getting a little bit more competitive.
Is it because it's not skill based enough?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Like if you play Call of Duty, you're
number
on
generator, isn't it?
Playing field, right? Whereas if you're in draft mode, hey, I got to go first. I get Mbappe. Fuck you.
Not even just that. Just like on the actual matches, you're not controlling anything. Whereas if you're doing Call of Duty or you're doing FIFA, you actually are controlling something. So then there is that element of, oh, we're going to take this seriously because everything I do matters. Whereas if you're playing Football Manager, you can have a perfect setup, perfect draft, perfect tactic, but there's no legislation for what the game will do in that moment. The game could do something crazy, and that's outside of your control.
I partly think that's just football, though, in general. Like, you could have the perfect team on paper in real life and still lose to someone that's just very stubborn. I think, in general, that's just how football sort of works. And I think that's what, as Football Manager does well, capturing that sort of thing. But I still think, I still think there's a lot of knowledge that a player is going to bring. I mean, yeah, there's still that element, right? Like a newbie can just come and just beat someone that's been playing the game for 20 years because that's just what that certain match, where like the game wanted that to happen in that specific time. But I still think there's still some sort of individual skill that goes along playing Football Manager as well.
Okay, let's expand upon that then, right? Because, okay, and like we might joke back about this, the World Cup, right, definitely had that competitive element in there. Everyone was there to try and win. Yeah, they were certainly there to try and win, but they're also there to put on a show. They knew that was part of the situation as well.
Yeah.
So how do we get something like, and let's just use the playoffs and the Streamer Showdown as examples, because I guess if we're going to make a competitive draft tournament, it's going to be something completely different. It's not going to be either of those two things. It's going to have to become its own thing. So how do you make a competitive draft tournament? Because part of the joy of the World Cup was that they had qualifiers for certain nationalities. So there was people who weren't content creators. It was open to general players, which has always been an argument with things like the playoffs and with the Streamer Showdown, that it isn't applicable to everybody. So how do you make this tournament more accessible, therefore adding an element of competitiveness into it? How do we make that happen? Just spitball ideas, because I'm not against it. I'm really interested to see how we build it.
It could possibly start with qualifiers. It could start with qualifiers. You're just playing against people to qualify. You go through rounds, and then there's the last, 8 or 10 people that make the final round, or whatever it is. But just in general, I think the way we just view draft mode, like if us was to have a draft mode, I mean, of course, if we're gonna have a private draft mode, we're gonna want to go into a Discord call. But I just think even like the call, I was watching the draft mode. Like I think even when you're in call with someone, you automatically lose that sort of competitiveness because like you don't want to say something too mean, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. And yeah, I just think there's a lot more when you're just with your own chatting behind someone's back. You're chatting behind whoever you're playing against' back, and whatever it is. And it's just like, I think that's there. You're more alone. You're more, this is your team. this is you versus them, rather than this is a friendly. Like we're just here shaking hands. This is going to be a friendly game.
So is some of this down to the fact that it's being streamed? So if you're streaming a draft mode, you're still in your head putting on a show for your audience, so you don't want to be coming across like in a certain way. You're then aware that there's this group call that you keep having to jump in and out of to sort of like say hello, check on results and stuff. Then you go into your own little private match, and then you've got that sort of like dynamic to do as well. I mean, ultimately, a way of getting qualifiers worked out and who's good would be some sort of ranking table, possibly.
Someone could do that and not upset everyone in the world.
Sorry, I gave you two things to talk about there. So, which would you like to talk about first? The rankings,
I was thinking on it because you have managers. So in real life, you have different kinds of you have managers. At non-league, you'll see this a lot more. Managers will go up to each other and chat to each other before the game. They'll go chat to the referees before the game. Have a little bit of friendly conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, you had a good result last week. And then, but like when you get to the Premier League, like they're locked in.
I think it's the same. I think that's more of our perception. I think Premier League managers, they still have those. They're having a wine together. They have like so many
after the game or before the game.
I think a lot of them generally have relationships, right? So like, if you run a Sunday league team, you're going to have to attend these meetings. You're going to have to there's so much things in the background. I think especially at a Premier League club, you're probably seeing the same managers at least once, multiple times a month. I think there's a lot of managers that have these relationships. They have these conversations. But even at non-league, right? Even if it's more, because there's less at stake. But I think once the whistle blows, it's a different story. Like, things can kick off quite easily. Once the whistle blows and the minute one starts, it's go time. Whereas I think that's difficult to do when you're in a call with someone, because you're still trying to remain respectful and all of that stuff. But there's also that thing, like, some people just generally carry it, like, they give off that vibe. It's just like, it's not that important. They're just here for the crack of it, the thrill of it, sort of thing. And I think for your community, that's fine. For someone coming in and watching it, people want to see people go at it. I think that's.
Do you think? Do you think if someone is like not in a call, it gives them a competitive edge? Like, I guess
for
that's
me,
my
for
question.
sure.
Like,
Because for one, I can shout. For two, I can. Yeah, you're laser. It's difficult to focus when you're in a chat with someone.
Well, yeah, but that's mind games at the same time, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. Every manager, you can be a different kind of manager. There are managers who would go out there and like they'd be like getting in the ear of the other manager. Hey, that was a foul, don't you? Like, you know that was wrong.
But if you're doing that, if you're going to do that, if you're doing that for competitive reasons, right? But we're not in these Discord calls for competitive reasons. We're just there because we're friends.
Yeah, but you don't have to be like. I think it's about. You can find a balance.
I don't think
you don't have to be hyper-focused competitive.
Straight away. Because you're a streamer, right? You're going to be worried about what happens if you get in an argument with this person. Like, these are the things, like, there's so much riding up. So for an example, right? Me and I don't know, Lelujo. If me and Lelujo's in the call and I'm just there trying to wind them up, but it doesn't go well. But just anyone. That's one reason why I'm using them as an example, because everyone could just say, well, you're never going to wind them up. If I use someone else, it's like, is that an undercover shot, or is that indirect? Directly. But I think, yeah, if it's just me and Lelujo, right? I don't know, like, and then me and Lelujo, but then if I'm playing Ben, I feel like I have to have two different. That there's gonna be a line, right? Ben's line might be here, Lelujo's line might be here.
Yeah.
But you don't want to worry about crossing that line. But as a streamer, tomorrow I might have to worry about crossing that line, because everyone's just seen it, where everyone's has this understanding it's not that competitive, right? So people are going to start looking at me like a dick, language, but people will view me as an idiot, and like, why is he behaving like that? Whereas if everyone goes in knowing it's that competitive, I don't think people will have that opinion on you.
Okay, right. Let's pull this back out, right? Because I think what we're looking at is a very, very, very tiny problem here, because let me make it bigger, right? if you're having this competitive draft tournament that we're opening to everybody, because we're saying that we feel as though potentially Football Manager draft tournaments are too exclusionary, right? So we feel as though they're a bit too sort of self-contained. You'd probably want to not be in a Discord call with someone you don't know, right? Now, if we are opening this to general Football Manager players who can now become ranked in tournaments with the potential to showcase how good they are as a Football Manager player, potential to then go on to a ranked tournament, maybe they get to go in front of a live audience, maybe they get to win a prize, all that kind of stuff, right? They've not done what we've done, which is that sort of like that streamer, content creator, learning how to present or talk or whatever. Like, there is a skill set to it. Some people might say that there isn't, but there is a skill set to it. Like, I maybe don't want to talk to... If I knew it was going to be you're talking to anybody, I personally maybe wouldn't have the call on. I'd be like, look, I don't know what this person is. I don't know what their vibe is. I don't know anything about them at all. Whereas there's only 20 creators, 30 creators or something. So we kind of all know each other. We know each other's vibes. So you can work out who you can bounce off and who you can't. So if you want that competitiveness, cut the call out. Just cut it out completely. I'm kind of with Aaron on that one. Because if you don't know who they are...
You can self-impose that. You don't have to, I don't think you enforce that on Lelujo, for example. He likes getting people's heads. That's his 8-time Showdown winner or 7-time Showdown winner. He wins the most, and he's just calm. He doesn't. Everything bounces off him. Yeah, but those people who go in hyper competitive don't get all the way, do they?
Well, if you are playing mind games, then you are being very competitive, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but those who are
but those I think those who are standoff, and I'm just here for the ride. I don't think those people necessarily go that far.
It depends what they're doing. I think Kev takes it seriously, or whoever takes it seriously. But other people there are other people who are desperate for a win. But I think that
because it's a tournament, you're gonna have times where you are gonna sort of meet. I don't know. I want to say meet these people. It depends on the structure of the tournament or whatever it is, right? Like, you might not necessarily have to lose a chord whatsoever. You can quite literally steal the World Cup's idea. You can have an assistant manager with you, and it could be you two in the call, whatever, for your audience. But I don't know. I just feel, especially again, I'm just looking at it from outside looking in. If you are someone from the FIFA world and you're coming to watch a tournament with Football Manager, but everyone competing is all friendly in a group chat against each other, it's just very difficult to get really behind that and be like, oh yes, this is my thing.
If you're going to make it more accessible, right, let's consider the fact that there's going to be a lot of people who play Football Manager who don't even have Discord. Do you know what I mean? So they're not going to be available for a call.
Yeah.
So essentially, they're going to be able to, all they're going to want to do is log into the draft, play the game on their laptop or their PC at home. They're not even aware that Discord exists. It's a thing, what it's used for. They don't know, right? Because all they do is they play Football Manager and that's it. And they have a great time and they love it. I don't see how the need for a Discord conversation has to happen. I think you need to make the tournament as accessible as possible for everybody to get involved. And cutting out some of those barriers will be really helpful. You could maybe say further down the line, right, by the way, round 1, open qualifier, literally all you need is a computer and a copy of Football Manager and the internet. Right, get logged in, play your games. When we get you into the further parts of the tournament, like you get into, I don't know, maybe we'll call this the official seedings or the official groupings maybe, right, we'll get you to download Discord. That's where the conversation happens. So so you'll have more plans and that going forward, so this is what we expect with regards to timings, all that sort of thing. There might be a bit more structure at that point, but I think from an initial perspective, you just got to have it wide open, really, and allow people to access it.
Yeah, now's a little bit different, but I remember back in the day, sometimes the best players on the game aren't the ones that are most visible. They're not always streaming that sort of thing. They're always this guy's got the highest score and you just never seen this guy before in your whole life. And yeah, I don't know. like, I was just thinking about it, and I just really think like the Football Manager drafting world, it might actually be beneficial for it to be more competitive, for people to look at it more.
Serious.
Like, no, I want to win it. I actually want to win this sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. I got a question. Who is it for? Is it for entertainment and for viewers, or is it for a competitive esports scene? I
think it's for everything and for everyone. I genuinely feel. I don't know. I've got this weird feeling.
That's such a. That's like a.
No, I'll go because for you personally, I think it.
Who are you?
I don't want to speak for everyone.
For?
It's difficult because you don't want to speak for everyone, right? But I just think that as much as I enjoy drafting when we're like friendly, I just generally feel that many of us will enjoy it a lot more if it was actually competitive. I just feel that way. Like I would feel.
But would it make a good viewing experience?
For viewing, I think it'll definitely improve the viewing experience.
You think so?
100%.
See, my problem is like if you're going about FIFA.
No, but it's just different games. It's different. It's every other game that there's.
When they're watching FIFA, they got a commentator who's commentating on what the actual players of FIFA don't say anything. They're sat there in silence, right? Or Call of Duty or whatever most of the time.
Yeah.
Like they're just, and you have casters who are commentating, or League of Legends or whatever you like, right? If you apply that to Football Manager, you've got the casters or the commentators. What are they actually commentating on? If they're commentating on the match engine, that's not the players doing it. If they're commentating what the players are doing, they're like, "Oh, he's clicked the button. He's clicking a shout. He's clicking a shout. Encourage! Oh my word! Can't believe he's done that." Like, what are they actually gonna? Is that gonna make a difference for him? Oh, we'll wait and find out. Like, you can't.
I think you're lacking a bit of creativity there, because I could say the same thing about FIFA, right? Like, oh my god, he's got through ball. Oh my god, it's another finesse shot. Oh my god, it's another step over. It's a Rabona.
Well, they talk about the players and what the play, how he's controlling that.
It was happening at the World Cup though. The same things were happening at the World Cup, right? Like Zealand was watching every single game. Every single game looked the same. He found a way to make people look different. People reacting different. Yeah. Like, I was going mad. Portugal was going mad. France were dancing. Switzerland was roboting.
Yeah, but
do you know what I mean?
I think
16 games to follow along to for one person to follow along.
What you've got as well, I mean, we do this on the playoffs. Ben and Nerd do it on the Streamer Showdown. Like, we know how you put a panel together of casters who can make Football Manager seem or sound entertaining. But we know that's a thing. We know that's possible, yeah? And the World Cup panel, again, managed to present that in a way that made it look entertaining. Because we know that, we talk about drafting, we know about all these players, and we all talk about, we make it sound as realistic as possible. Oh, I can't believe they've drafted that person. Well, I've seen him work this amount of times in a draft successfully. Oh, I've never got a tune out of him. And we add those stories and we add the colour that way towards the commentary. When you're asking about who's the tournament for, is it for viewers or is it for just for the sake of it, or like for the esport? I'm less convinced it's for the viewers. Like in the version I have in my head, I almost think there's two tournaments, but maybe they merge into one eventually. Like, I think there's got to be one that is think about it like the FA Cup, right? There's got to be a level where there's just qualifiers to get into the first round qualifiers and then into the first round proper. Like, there needs to be something like that. And I think that's what there needs to be, because we've got a lot of time to kill now between now and FM26, we're going to presume it's going to be called, right? I think that there are a lot of people who are very, very good at the game. Very good at the game. We've never heard of them because they don't play the game online, because not everyone has to play the game online. But there's a lot of people who would want an opportunity to showcase how good they are at the game. And I think there should be a chance for that to happen. Like, and there should be an open call, essentially, to go, right, there's 1,000 spots, who wants in? And how it works and how it's structured, eventually it filters down to, right, we're getting to the point now where we're into group stages, you're going to need some kind of equipment because we might want to start producing this. That's when you start getting your commentators in. That's when you start getting your production in. And then you think maybe we start doing the finals and that's what we broadcast. But everyone's had a chance to be in it from the start. Does that make sense?
Then again, like once you get to that, like I said earlier, you can quite literally steal the concept from FIFA where once you get to that certain stage, as long as there's two of you, right? You've got a manager, assistant manager. Both of you don't need Discord and camera. Like, as long as one of you've got that, I think that might be good enough. But I guarantee you, right? If I were to put a tweet out, 2 different versions, who wants to play a draft tomorrow, and then who wants to play a draft tomorrow? Let's see who's really better. You could see people's competitive edge will definitely show.
I'm not
within
saying the other one
tweet.
doesn't have competitive edge. It's still competitive.
But I'm saying I don't think people will be more. I don't think people will be interested in it. Like even if it's a viewer, like if someone said there's a draft tournament going on, fine. There's a draft tournament going on for this rankings. I think that would again instantly just draw people to it. The fact that there was money on the line is probably what drew a lot of people to FIFA World Cup. If it was shirts on the line, are you watching it for someone to possibly win a shirt? Or are you watching it for someone to possibly win thousands of pounds?
Well,
be prepared for people to bring broken corner tactics if there's money on the line.
Oh,
no,
people bring broken corner tactics and meta tactics into the playoffs and the showdown. There's no prize at all.
No, they'll be worse. It'll be infinitely worse.
But okay, right. Here's the thing, then, right. So we're recording this. Full disclosure for everybody, right? We're recording this on Sunday, the 2nd of March. Okay, if we agree as a collective that we'll put out a tweet on Thursday when this public episode drops, okay, we'll word out the exact tweet. We will put it out there to see who would be interested in a draft tournament. We'll work out how we specify how its level of competitiveness, because again, it might be an interesting thing to work out the actual interest. And this is not just from creators, from anybody who plays Football Manager on the PC or laptop. We're not going to be doing it on mobile or console or touch unless it works. I don't think it does, right? But if it does do that, fine, jump in. But it's got to be, everyone's got to be on the same system.
Foot Manager 1982.
Play by mail, right? I want everyone to sellotape £3 to a letter and send it to our houses.
Imagine send it out.
Draft order.
Send that tweet out. You're just getting hundreds of responses. Like shit, we actually got to somehow start a tournament.
But you know what? How cool would that be, though, if we do get hundreds of responses and there is a genuine interest for it? Fine, let's do it. No one else is doing it.
No idea
and it's
about the
written,
workings.
and it's timestamped now that we've said it publicly. We will commit to it. If there is sufficient interest, we will commit to it, and we will organise it.
I'm chicking it out now.
There,
I'm chicking it out.
I've said it.
Darren, you're organising 100-person draft.
I know, I'm chicking it out now. I'm like, sugar, this sounds like a lot of work.
No, 500.
Yeah.
I said Darren because I've got Foot Manager open and Darren Stevenson's looking at me right here. So he's my top scorer.
Yeah, I don't know. A part of it, I was just watching the tournament and I'm just like, the way everyone was just so competitive. But then that's like, if this was Football Manager, we would be laughing and joking about. Someone's probably scoring goals, you're not even reacting because you're in the middle of a conversation. Like, that sort of.
I think Showdown, people were competitive.
Showdown, yeah, potentially, yeah.
I was part of the Showdown. I was just happy to be there.
Pausing.
You were the vibes one then at the Showdown.
Yeah, but I was happy to be there, and you don't want to upset anyone. It's your first time there. Do you know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like a.
Yeah, but you could like by the time it gets to 4 or 5, and you've got Ben v. Leluja.
And the fact that it's a streamer showdown, right? So like you know you're only there because you're a streamer, sort of thing. Like. Yeah, I was on the show. I'm trying to think. Like, I was in it. I'm trying to remember how many times I was on it as well.
3,
I think
or 2.
Yeah, 2. I think twice. I remember the second one when they had that Mr. Dis special, which was actually amazing. That was amazing because we didn't know anything behind it as well. So that sort of stuff is just. See, that sort of stuff I feel is amazing for our community. Imagine you not being an outsider watching that. You ain't gonna understand why we even think that was good in the first place, sort of thing.
Well, the twists and stuff. Yeah, I mean sometimes the twist they took a competitive element out, but they I guess they add in like something a little bit different, right? Like if you do the same every time, it keeps everyone on their toes as well.
And it's not even necessarily just replace the showdown anyway, because I think the showdown was good for what it done in the community. So it's not even to put shade or take anything away from the showdown. It's like, I'm just thinking like, how could the viewership of Football Manager go to like elevate to another level? And I just think it might just need to raise the competitiveness around the game.
Well, there you go then. So right there, let's again. I'm fleshing the idea out live on air as we're talking. The showdown keeps that element of jeopardy, and because it's entertainment. Yeah, playoffs again was entertainment. So we used to mix up our draft pools to try and make it a bit more interesting rather than keeping it the same. This tournament, whatever it's going to be called, working title, the FM Show Draft Tournament, right? Title to be confirmed later down the line. That can just stay vanilla. Like, it doesn't need to have jeopardy. It doesn't need to have fancy rules or fancy logic. Like, we saw some draft tournaments, Si, that were going so far, like, out to, like, all right, you can only draft players whose surnames begin with B. Or, like, these, you can only use the Zimbabwean second division and also the third division in Estonia. And the draft pool value is £0. Like, those sorts of nonsense.
You got to do blind bidding and choosing the draft mode.
You don't need any of that stuff. You need it accessible to everyone. So it almost needs to be world pool, 500 million quid, everyone all in, go for it.
Oh, right? I think that's the prize.
500 million.
No.
All right, okay. Well, I've got an additional thing for you here. So, if this were to happen, now I guess I think I know why Aaron's picked up on this, because we saw the Indonesian.
I was just about to mention that. Just about to mention.
And do you know what?
We
could get all
have
them
heard
on board.
rumblings of other FAs doing similar. The problem is we don't know anyone, do we? Who's got an in at the England FA esports? Do we?
That'll be.
There's not anyone who we can get to like give them a little push to make this official England FA.
If they could do it, I do wonder now though if people like the English FA are looking at FM25. I guess if they even have plans to do that, it wouldn't even be for now. It would be for whenever Football Manager can add in the
show
new.
them what Indonesia did. Show them what
these
other countries are going to do.
Without wanting to sort of like take away the potential England FA thing, we need to open it to everybody. So we can't just have a tournament ran by the English FA, because we want it to be open to everybody. We know we've got Norwegian viewers and listeners, we've got Swedish viewers, we've got Dutch viewers, we've got people who listen over in Indonesia, Japan. Like, we've got them from America, we've got people from all over the world. So how cool would it be to have a tournament? Like, and I know the Indonesian people who've set theirs up, they just did it through sheer graft and got it set themselves. And like, if we just sent a couple of messages to the Indonesian people and just went, "Do you want in on this?" We know we'd have about 3,000 competitors within the space of about 2 weeks. So, like, I think the scope's there, and I might be slightly delusional, and I might be a little bit sleep deprived, but I sort of think, you know what, this is one of the first ideas in Football Manager for quite a while where I've sort of looked at it and just went, you know what, why not? But then again, my last idea was for Football Manager convention, so my ideas are quite high.
I think a lot of stuff that happens in the FM world actually passes us by, as we are in
100%.
We're in a bit of a streamer bubble, but we are in definitely like an Anglosphere bubble, even not an Anglosphere bubble. So there was. And a lot of people don't know this. There was a bigger than the Showdown, a Football Manager tournament. Oh, I say bigger. It definitely had bigger sponsorships because it was sponsored by Coca-Cola. And I think most people didn't notice it, but it was like it had Ireland and it had Italy. Because as a colourblind man, I was confused because the flags looked very similar to me, and I was like, wait, these ones are speaking in English, but these ones are speaking in Italian. But I realised it was actually two separate tournaments happening simultaneously. With Ireland, one in Ireland and one in Italy. I think there was a third country, but I don't remember what it was. But like, and most of the streamers or content creators or people involved were like FIFA people normally. Like, some of them had big views because they exist in their own language sphere. I mean, okay, obviously Ireland's in the English language sphere, but they were big Irish FIFA streamers or whatever game they normally played. And the Italian ones are obviously bigger ones from Italy. And like, most people didn't even notice that it happened. in the English, like, you know, you look on Twitter, no one mentions it, no one talks about who was in it or anything. But if you were on Twitch and you saw those channels, they were getting in the numbers.
I did not know. I did not notice
that's it. You just wouldn't see it. I think you know, the other day there was a Spanish streamer playing Football Manager. There was an American streamer the other day actually playing Football Manager, a big one, like one of the, if you know Ludwig, who's like one of the biggest YouTube. He's a YouTube streamer. Actually, I think he's both now. He's back on both. Yeah, like maybe like top 10 streamers in the world. Like the guy who does a lot of stuff with him was streaming Football Manager this week. And I don't think he didn't know anything about the game, and he doesn't know anything about FM25 being delayed or anything. It was just like a whole new world, and it's like, hey, there's bigger people, bigger things happening out there.
With those sort of people, though, I'm pretty sure they just tend like they've been told to play the game. A lot of them, they get told. I say get told. They get recommended to play the game by views or whatever it is.
Yeah, probably, yeah. They probably look at like, hey, here's a game on the Steam charts that's massive.
Yeah.
That no massive streamer is playing. With all due respect to Zealand, that no massive streamer is playing. I think there's a Korean guy who's like the biggest FM streamer.
Yeah, it's usually.
But obviously, I don't know anymore because Twitch isn't in Korea now, is it? But like, way down, there's just like us regular FM guys.
But even that, I'm thinking like, how would they view the game, right? If they played the single manager mode compared to playing 1v1s against people, I don't. Part of me just feels like they would enjoy the competitiveness of playing against other people in 1v1s than they would.
But this is where it becomes. It doesn't become a viewable experience though, because if we're saying, right, that we have these open qualifiers. So again, let's pull it as far back as we can.
Yeah.
Open qualifiers, right? We've got 500 competitors. Okay, you get drawn. You're Mr. Gigantic American Streamer. You get drawn against Johnny, first time playing, but wants to be in on it, right? You're not going to ask Mr. Massive American Streamer to stream that one match that they might lose, and therefore not be part of that tournament going forward. So you don't want to have any expectation of anybody streaming it or making content about it until you get to the group stages or the finals. That's the only time there needs to be any expectation for it to be filmed or
you
broadcast. So it's just got to be something that people can do. They can log on, they can organise the match between themselves. Right, but you get an email, for example, right? Thank you for applying for the FM show invitational or draft tournament, whatever it's called. Your fixture is on Friday. You will play this person. It's up to you to work out when you play the game during that day. Let us know the result, or we'll work the result somehow. We'll find out how that result happens, and then you progress forward. If you can't complete the match, then your spot is passed on or something. Do you know what I mean?
That's obviously the difficulties of structure it, innit? Like even that, like working at the times and then someone logging in results and that sort of stuff. I guess that's all like admin work, and that's gonna be like, I'm guessing, picturing that could be a bit of a headache. But I don't know, man. I just think Football Manager being viewed more competitively might just elevate the game somehow.
I think everyone got annoyed with how competitive people got before.
But I think that's because there was never a general understanding. Because then everyone's understanding is that it's not that serious. It's not. Everyone's always approach is not that serious. It's not that serious. It's not that serious.
But then you got people going, hey, like, how do you establish yourself as the? You need the backing of the FA or someone like that, because how do you establish yourself as the tournament?
Yeah, you would need. Yeah, you need some sort of sort of backing from someone.
Or you just trial it. Trial it when there's no game happening, and if it works, then you can take it to a sponsor for FM26 and go, right, we did this in FM25. New game's coming out. We want to do it bigger. We're going to need some sort of prize fund on it. What do you say? Do you know what I mean? And do it that way. Like, that to me seems really, really obvious. We did it with the podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like, we had a podcast, and then eventually sponsors started picking up on it. We didn't
Yeah.
We didn't chase the sponsorship first. We had a back catalogue that when sponsors came to us, they were like, "Oh yeah, we've seen what you do," and we go, "All right, cool, we can move on and we do more things."
I mean, there might be some sort of I don't know. There might be some sort of company that's just looking for an opportunity, right? Like I don't want to throw out a company's name. I almost just threw out a company's name out there, but there are companies that enjoy this game, right? And these companies have sponsored us before. Mm-hmm. I've had sponsors purely based off the person's love for the game. Like
you mentioned the ball shaving company that used to sponsor us.
Literally, I'm like, I'm not sure if it's wise to mention their name, but yeah, those people that shave balls and stuff, I'm pretty sure like they would want to take an opportunity, right? Like a lot of these companies just want visibility, and hey, if you can promise that certain people are gonna be involved in it, then yeah, you might have an opportunity there. And we're not looking for millions of pounds, of course.
Oh, well, what we are looking for, though, we are
a lot of money.
Looking for no. What we are looking for right now is we're looking for competitors. So you'll have to check out social media, all avenues of social media. On Thursday, when the public episode drops, there'll be a tweet that will ask who is interested in an open draft tournament that will work out the rankings somehow, Si, as we go through. But there you go. Let's try it. Why not? I'm convinced.
Do you know?
I can see Si shaking. For the audio listeners, Si is shaking his head and hoping that his eyes didn't work anymore. Like he's literally going to ring the eye doctor and go,
said,
"You know what? Ruin them
fire
again,
up
please."
The rankings again, and I'm like, no, put that.
And what Si's about to say, I was thinking about 45 minutes ago. But go on, Si.
The other thing is, when I said the plan for today's episode, and I was like, hey, let's talk about collaborative FM. Tony's been doing some collaborations, and we've also got a brand new community save. And Tony's gone, hey, let's talk about competitive FM and rip each other apart. Or was it Aaron? One of you two taking us down a... It wasn't even the plan for today's show.
I did not expect the conversation to go this far.
Well, that's fine. We got a plan for a future episode. So in 2 weeks, come back for collaborative FM and discussion of collaborative FM.
We'll talk collaborative FMs, but talk about your community save though side.
Okay, right. So we need people to take part in the community save. It's actually near the end of the first season now. So I'm not going to give the details of it because we can save that for a future episode. But the essentially what it is, and it's open. Well, I don't know because when this goes up on Thursday,
I'm sorry.
You can.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Go on, Aaron.
The reason why I'm laughing so hard, is because I noticed that. But today, before we press record, so I saw a YouTube comment that someone giving feedback, and I don't know, like they weren't being. Some people might view it as a bit negative, but I read it like I don't think that person had a negative tone about it. But they was like saying how I'm quite hectic, and I probably should have like a script in front of me, right? So before this episode, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try and just let people have the floor. I'm not gonna talk, and we're gonna go according to plan. And then literally, that's just 10 minutes into the episode. Everything just went out the window. Everything.
Aaron, they cancelled FM25. We've got 8 months to fill. By all means, take us on a tangent.
I was like, I want to try this new me. Right? I don't have a script, but I was going to listen out for cues and I was going to think before I talk and all of that sort of thing. And then, competitive
if you haven't
FM
got ADHD now, you will by the time FM26 comes out. So, sorry.
Right, so that feedback,
we've got community
feedback
save, let's talk
about
it.
He's taken us off again, hasn't he?
Sorry, next week I'll be...
The basis of it is, we're running a community save. We want you to come and manage the team that we are in. Well, manage the manager. You are going to become. It's Harry Potter. I don't know why I made Harry Potter, but he's Harry Potter because it was easy to make. So you can come and be Harry Potter, the manager in our world, and it's a relay. So I took on the first stint. And we're actually at Farsley Celtic is the first team we went to. We'll tell you a bit more about that in 2 weeks' time when we cover like what's happened so far, which it's been some crazy stuff. And you pick it up and you play until you lose. You re-upload the save file, and then the next person takes it on. And it's that simple. If you lose your first game, you get a mulligan. Go again. Like just otherwise it's pretty sad if you lose your first. If you lose 2, yeah, you're gone. We're more fire heavy than an Italian chairman of a football club, right? You get one loss in your first game, and then after that, your first loss, you're out. That's it. We'll replace you. So you just come, and we've had some interest. Some people have had some decent stints so far. So come pick it up. It's in the Discord. You don't, no pre-commitment or anything. You've got I say you've got 24 hours, but that's just to keep it rolling. You know, if you suddenly win 20 games and you need another day or two, that's fine. But yeah, just come download it. Say I'm having.
They've won 20 games, and they still want more time, so they want to play the whole season basically.
If we go unbeaten, fantastic. And my hope is we have 100 different managers take this on at some point. We're up to about 5 or 6 at the minute. It's been going about a week, so by the time FM26 comes out, hopefully we've had 100 people give this a go.
Now, Si, this does tie in a weird way with what we've been talking about, because this is open to everybody. You don't have to be a creator. Yes. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to film it or make a video or stream it or whatever.
No.
It is literally open to anybody who can join the Discord. I'm aware we said that was a barrier to entry for some people, but join the Discord, or if you know what, the save file will be in YouTube and the YouTube description, right?
No, we need it to be Discord because we need someone to say that they've taken it on.
Yeah, good point, right?
But you can send one of us a message and we can send you the file and do it on your behalf if that's 100% necessary. Just join the Discord.
Join the Discord. Come and hang out, right? But yeah, so open to everybody, open to absolutely everybody. Come and get yourselves involved in the save. And the reason it's only 24 hours as well is obviously don't feel as though you take the game on and then have to worry that you've got to get it done and you hang on to it for a couple of days. So yeah, get it done. No pressure, but it looks fun, Si. It's from sitting back from a distance, because I almost jumped in the other day. But then thankfully someone had jumped in before me, so I was like, oh good, that's the pressure gone. I don't have to be the first or second person in there. But Farsi Celtic, I like that.
Interesting team. There were a lot of options that came up, and I'll show. I've been keeping a track of everything, so everyone does post a little update to. That's the only thing you have to do is be like a couple of lines. What happened when you're in charge? If you want to give it make a little thread, a running thread of what's been going on, perfect. It just gives us a way to look back at it. But yeah, we're approaching the end of the very first season, and the first season's gone better than I thought. We're into manager number 6, I think, but there are a lot of green wins on the fixture list. So we might be moving up the table quick.
Should say as well, Si,
my hope is we win Champions League.
There's no rules, is it? So whoever takes over can do whatever they want with the team as well. Yeah, they can rip the tactic up, they can sell players and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like you don't just have to just continue with what's going on. If you can see it, if you think that it can be done better, then the chance of course is to go and do it better.
Do you want to leave? You want to leave Farsley Celtic and go manage Man City? Give it a go. But I mean, the only thing we ask is try to do well. That's the only. Don't. I mean, because I could imagine someone be like, "Hey, I'm going to go in and do something hilarious and mess it up," but
and that's the competitiveness side. I guarantee you, people at home are like, "I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing this to see if I can get the longest winning streak out of everybody else that's going to enjoy."
We've had some of your World Cup guys in. We had some of the World Cup competitors in.
See,
as soon as I told them they were in, they were like jumping in. So I might have to reserve one of you two guys to be number 100, or if we get close to a Champions League final or something, maybe Aaron could be our Champions League final man.
Yeah, but I'll call Matt
under pressure.
Yeah, Matt will be there.
Tony, you're going to be the playoffs man.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll do that. or the guy to avoid relegation. I'll be.
People are welcome to stream it or whatever, but I don't have any guarantee that you don't lose after the second game, and that's your stream cut short very, 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 very quickly. Well, you just load up a different game, but yeah, come give it a go. It's open to everybody. Just, if somebody's on it, they'll be done within 24 hours. So just wait until they're done and then, pick it up where they're done. And there's going to be plenty of time and plenty of room for everyone.
Literally put your 50 pence on the pool table and wait your turn, isn't it?
It's free. No 50 pence is free.
A virtual 50 pence.
You can put £3 in the Patreon.
Oh, there's a link. Go on, Si. What could you get for £3 on Patreon?
You can get all the extra content exclusive to Patreon. at least for like a period of several months, because occasionally we chuck out a freebie to the rest of the masses. I nearly called them plebs. I nearly entered plebgate, didn't I? Let's not call our regular viewers plebs. I think I've annoyed enough regular viewers. It was a reference to it.
Wow.
There was a politician who did it. Was it a policeman? I don't remember. No, a politician called a policeman, didn't he? Yeah, that was it.
I love we've spent this entire episode trying to bring people together. You lot.
Come join the Patreon. £3 or less. No, well, you get a free trial. So £3 and you get access to all the, what did we talk about? We had a little chat after Steve went off about all kinds of nonsense. Sometimes it's Football Manager related, sometimes it's not Football Manager related.
Just a little bit of fun. Sometimes it's Manager related.
We had a quiz one week. There's all sorts that Tony's done movie watches, movie watch-alongs for Goal 3, or was it like Kung Fu Soccer?
We did Goal 3. We did Shaolin Soccer. We need some more actually as well. You get access to save files. If we've got save files, we'll chuck them in there as well, so you can get access to that. Maybe even priority access to the largest draft tournament that we've organised on a podcast. So,
maybe.
Just saying.
We just live organised it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
there's lots of stuff you can get. That's at patreon.com/the FM show pod. You can email us. Where can you email us? Aaron. I'm going to test you.
The FM show pod at gmail.com. That's the FM show pod at gmail.com. They tried to catch me out. They almost caught me out. Oh, Lord. I was just looking at Side's face. I stopped that pod. I was like, okay, I think I got that pod. The FM show pod.
Yeah, he can't be caught. He can't be caught out. He's too smart. He's too smart. And also as well, follow us on social media, the FM Show Pod. We'll be on Twitter for as long as it takes before it burns to the ground. We are on Blue Sky now, and we're on TikTok and Instagram. And join the Discord, as we said. Yes, come and join us there. Right, Si, not the episode you thought we were going to record tonight. Aaron had no idea what episode we were recording tonight.
We've got a guest next week, very exciting guest, who we're not going to announce until next week, just in case there was scheduling conflicts or something. But so 2 weeks we'll come back to collaborative Football Manager.
Yes, so we've got a couple of guests lined up for over the next month or so. So, collabs are the way forward, Si. That's what we think.
If you think there's someone we should have on,
don't say Antoine Griezmann. Don't stop saying Antoine Griezmann. We know he plays Football Manager, right? Okay.
That is not next week's guest. That's good though, isn't it?
Let's see if we can get Guy Ruin next week to talk.
Does he speak English?
Do any of us really? I mean, my accent's all over the place, so probably be fine. Right. We're going to log the cameras off. We're going to start talking about Patreon in a second. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Do keep your eyes peeled for that tweet about the biggest draft tournament this podcast has announced in a few weeks. Let us know if you fancy it. And, take care, everyone. We'll speak to you all very soon. Bye now.
Toodles.
Right.